Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Town of Pownell Select Board Meeting, October 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Board member roll call.
Angie Rowling.
Bob Jarvis.
Brian Harris.
Jamie Percy.
Mike Gardner. I'll stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. Could you lead us tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of agenda, public comment, approval of minutes, warrants, correspondence, excess weight permits, updates from town officials, tree removal at the Center Street Cemetery, health officer and E91 coordinator laptop purchase, choose possible name for new lane off of Middle Pownell Road, community use of town office space, discussion continued, Conservation Commission initial discussion, social service appropriations, town warning and ballot placement policy, executive for personnel, executive personnel zoning administrator, executive personnel, public comment and adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, any additions, corrections? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, I.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye. Public comment, any public comment, Hannah?
No hands are up.
No hands? Okay, approval of minutes, October 19th, 2023, special select board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections, additions? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob abstain.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye. Warrants, accounts payable October 27th, $26,616.53.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, I.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye. Payroll October 27th, $10,509.67.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, I.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye. Do we have any correspondence there?
Not today.
No correspondence. Excess weight permits.
None of those either.
None of those either. Awesome. Updates from town officials?
Well, I have one. We received a $5,000 grant from the collaborative to install a kitchen in the Old Town office. So it's a step in the right direction. I have a few other grants I'll need to hopefully get before that happens, but that's pretty much all I have for exciting news.
The health officer has been pretty quiet, knock on wood, whatever it is. Since last Tuesday, zoning the same thing, just the permit process that's going on. Normal, everyday operations.
You want to have Tom give his quarterly update now?
Yeah, you want to give your, town official report, Tom, is the, you want to come up to the table, please?
And you all have the packet, Bob, I don't know. You get one sent to him?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We started on this packet of mine. Basically, it's the Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance. And we've been able to get the household hazardous waste permanent facility up and get it running and so forth. And it's really come a long ways, you know. And Scott Grimland really should be, he gives a lot of my kudos because he kind of walked in the middle of this thing. Michael started and then he retired and Scott got it. So basically this is the notes and the minutes and so forth. If you get back to where the numbers start, okay? Yeah, there's things in here. This is what we're looking at, the bills and so forth. And if you look at the allocation by town, you know, we're at 9% of the allocation and so forth. So our annual budget was 19,615 and total was 18,274.47. So we're like $1,200 under what we had allocated for the beginning of the year, which was a very good thing. You know, we've been able to do that, but it's steadily, increasing each year because we're not getting quite the grants and things that we have. But now we do have one grant that's coming up here. I'll show you this, which is really kind of interesting. Go to the following page. This is the spreadsheet on what the costs were for the household hazardous waste facility. And the whole thing, comes down to $106,739. And the A&R expected reimbursement is $64,000. Okay, so what happens is, go to the next page, you'll see that the thing that Scott sent me yesterday. Well, we get a refund on this because of the grant coming in. So he's saying that our refund on it is $7,246.63. Now, what we've left it up to, we kind of did it up to the towns, each town is different. Do we want to leave this in? Just leave it set there and it'll reduce our payments next year for the Solid Waste Alliance? Or we want to refund it and we have to pay the things back? So
So can you point that out to me again, because I'm not seeing the 7,000.
It's on this email right here. Can I see that?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Oh, all right, I missed it, Tom, I'm sorry, I see this.
Okay.
Yep,
Scott sent me this yesterday.
okay, sorry.
Because he didn't really have it when I first talked to him. He said, it's still kind of up in the air, and I don't know if this is going to be actual, in stone, but it's going to be pretty close. So, I mean, if you want to just leave that in there, and then we can take this amount off of the Alliance when we go to show our things for the budget next year, and reduce the budget by the 7,200. I mean, it's up to you guys. You'll have to decide that. We'll discuss that in budget time.
Right.
But it's certainly an option for us, or whether we want to have it just returned to us. Okay, they'll do it either way. So it's not really a problem. And I knew we were going to get some back. I didn't know we were going to get that much back. But the page before that has this pie chart on it.
Yeah.
All right, if you'll see it down here, we are 9% of the population. This is what was done up to September 11th. And Pownell did 11% of the household hazardous waste facilities. We have 9% of them. So I'm happy with that. The people are using it, and I've been passing out the leaflets to everybody that asks anything about it. I have a stack of them right there on the desk, and I'm passing them out. And then these are just pictures of the units and what the other things we have in there and so forth.
So, Tara, will you, before we get too carried away, will you put the 7,246 on our radar for the budget with Ellen? So that we can discuss that with her.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if it makes more sense to put it back in now.
Right.
But yeah,
When we.
Yeah, definitely.
Budget discussion, I just want to have Ellen have input on that.
Yep.
What the best thing for us to do.
It's-
Definitely.
This is why you guys get the big bucks, So, now, the next thing we have on here is the thing about Discover Books. And what this is a program that I know we have a lot of books in the swap shop. And some of them been there a long time and are getting old and so forth. And we have to put them in we have to put them in the paper and stuff to dispose of them. And we're paying for that. This, we can put them in there, or if people have good books that they want to donate things, they do either one. I mean, they'll take them and there's no cost to us whatsoever. They put a bin in, it'll be up there near the propane things with the bins we have for the clothing and so forth. We'll just set it in there and they'll come and take care of it. And they'll come in, unlock it, take the thing out. It's all waterproof and everything. And I think it'd be something that would behoove us to do it. This is the way some of the books and so forth are going to get reused. And, the older ones, they're going to really make sure they're recycled. So, and no cost to us. We just need a space. We have the space there. We have plenty of space for it. So it'd be right up there near where we have that by the metal dumpster and the oil.
So this will be at our facility.
Yeah, this is one we're gonna be doing, for the good of the community, basically, and it's gonna help us out in the long run too. So I'm sure we should do it. I mean, that's my recommendation. Is that okay with you folks?
Yeah,
Let's make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we start with the Discover Book Program at the transfer station.
I'll call Paula tomorrow and
Do I have a second?
set up.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion, questions, comments? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, aye.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye. You got it, Tom.
Okay, very good. Now, the next thing we've got going on here, these are tonnage from 22 to 23 of my quarterly reports. This is what I base my quarterly reports upon. So as it comes out, we're only about two tons different from one year to the next for the quarter, which is, pretty consistent. We're 2.25 tons more this year than we were last year. So, I mean, that's just showing us that things are, going along, pretty much as is. And then we have the thing here for I've got my quarterly POU reports and so forth, and we'll see how much difference we have from last year's. So what we have here, we have, July, we took in $19,450.50. And then July we took, August, we took $14,249. And then last month we took $9,373.50. And that's all because a lot of the people are buying their permits, on time, and then they slowly trickle in and, what about this? And I go through here, when I was doing some of this stuff, I found some people that I know that haven't paid and so forth. So, next time you come in, how about bringing an extra $50? You get your permit, so I'll allow you to do it again, and so forth. You do it kind of nicely. So these are all increases over last year by a good bit. And,
About how many permits is sold?
I think it's at the end. The amount.
I'll tell you what, when at the end of the quarter, we were about 12 behind last year, but the increase was way ahead. The $10 increase, we were 12 behind. It was 437 to 449, I think, something like that. It's within 12, and now it's still creeping up, and we're still a little behind as of last year, but it's not significant. I mean, it's the percentage is really not that bad. And we're getting a lot of new people moving in, of course, people move out. So we're reusing some of the old numbers and stuff, and people have to fill them out, and I got to change all the stuff on the computer, my spreadsheets on this, and the addresses and the phone numbers and everything we keep for the folks. But, things are going pretty well. And, compared to last year, we have a last page, the very last page here. Well, these are yearly totals for revenue on the top part. I decided to throw that in there. 22 was down, but then that was, 21 and 22 kind of COVID years. So, there was a lot of difference. And last year, in 23, we jumped up quite a bit. And this year it's going to be quite a bit more.
So this bottom line right here, this $93,000 for 2023, that's current, up to date, but not the entire fiscal year?
No, that was last year, 2023.
All right, okay.
These are the end years. The one's 2021, 21.
Yep, okay.
These are the numbers.
I just want to make sure everybody was.
All right, yeah, these are the numbers from June 30th.
June 30th, okay.
We closed it off.
Yeah, all right.
And right here's the thing about the tonnage. The total rate there is a 2.25 ton difference, over the 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the income compared to last year in July, last year was, this year was 19,450. Last year was 284. August was 14,249
Correct.
to 11,598. And then we got the 93, 7350 to 7502, which comes into 43,000.
Right.
First quarter, and last year's first quarter was 36,385, so it's a net increase of 66,8775, which I think is pretty much on target from what we were talking about when we did the things. I think that it's going to be very close to like the 17, because you start out with this and, you don't have to get, you get 3-4, 3-4, something like that. And we should be reasonably close to it, but it's, all in all, I think it's working out pretty well. The numbers are encouraging, to me anyhow. And, so we're doing that. Now I have one other thing I want to bring up. I didn't put this down. We have a new engineer coming in from Stantec for the closed landfill. And she said she couldn't get a draw on the one well that's over by the tires. There's one right behind there at the end of the swap shop back in the weeds there a little bit. And she said she could not get it. He said the thing was messed up. There was a check valve. It should have been down the bottom, but it wasn't in the bottom or so forth. And I don't know, Oscar always got the stuff there, but she didn't. And she was here last week too. So I'm not so sure what we're going to have happen. Whether they can somehow reuse that well, pull the stuff up or not, or if they're going to have to drill another 40-foot well.
Do they have an internal, that's line, case?
PVC, I think it's like 1.5 inches PVC down inside the casing.
Right, that's what I was gonna say, it's already cased, but then it's.
Yeah, but she said there's a check valve in there. She said she could get her tape down by it, but she couldn't get any test tubes or anything, get a line down there to get any water at. So I don't know. It seems a little odd to me that it worked all these years and now it doesn't work. But I think we have somebody who may not be as experienced at doing these things. She's just out of college, to be quite honest.
But that's the only well they had problems with?
Well, she had the wrong test equipment for other ones, so she had a couple other ones to do. But I mean, it's just, but we had things going just like this, for years. All the time I was up there when we had Osher, but he quit some or retired or whatever. But he's no longer with the firm. So this is what we're dealing with.
So before, they suggest us doing another well, can't we ask for a different person to come?
No, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to say,
Yeah, but
can we have somebody else come take a look at this?
Correct.
Or somebody contact Oscar and see how he did it, because it always seemed to work for him. And, he never seemed to have any problems with any stuff. Because I saw him bringing the stuff out, he got water out of him and he saw the test things because you could see him right there from the office, all the times that he did it.
It just seems a little odd.
Yeah, I did. That's exactly my point too. So, but I did want to bring this up. I think that, and here's the thing, I'm going to have to start doing the recertification. I'm going to have to start here pretty directly, so I'll get it all pushed out at the end and get it in a timely fashion for recertifying the transfer station and recertifying that, because that has to be done every 5 years. And, we just did it, but to tell you what, it's a lot of work and we've had some changes. We've had the solar panels put in since the last certification. We've had the animal control put in there since the last certification. So we have some differences we have to get put in there. And I'm sure if I talk to Bill, I'll have him get some aerial photographs and we could just, blow those right in with the stuff and they can see everything. It's a lot better than the old aerial maps anyhow, by a long shot. So if we could do something like that, we will. And we got a thanks from the Department of Agriculture again this year for allowing them to do testing on mosquitoes. And that's why I don't keep all the tires in the tire shed, because we keep a bunch out there for mosquitoes. They do the testing. They've been doing it 7 years now. They didn't do it the first year I was here. After that, we've done it the last 7 years.
I would think there's plenty of mosquitoes over there without tires being outdoors. I lived over there for 3 years when I first got married.
I think you're probably right.
I'm pretty sure.
However, what we have there is really the furthest most south tire pile in the state.
I know what you're saying, Tom. I understand.
Yeah, I understand what you're going to.
I live there. There's plenty of mosquitoes.
And I thought, you know, you see, oh, we got some West Nile. But I don't know if they've ever found West Nile. They've never told me. I asked them and they said, no, I said, I don't know. I just send samples in. You know, but I've never really asked and so forth. But they do get some mosquitoes there for sure. You know,
Does anybody have any questions for Tom?
No, I'm good.
I'll stop over and look at that well,
yeah.
to see if,
Yeah, if you'd like to, one over Saturday,
so.
you know, we'll be there.
Good.
Can't be
I think things look good, Tom. You know, as far as I'm concerned, the report is good. Things are projected where we're hoping they, I think, you know,
Well, we're headed there. I can't say we're gonna make it, but you know,
we're headed, we're at least headed in the right direction.
it's definitely an improvement. All right, and
Okay.
you know, I'm pleased with it.
Always a
Looking at all this stuff, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Tree removal at the Center Street Cemetery.
Okay, so as you all know, we got an estimate from Greater Heights for $38.65 to take a tree down by the cemetery. But given the price, I'm thinking maybe we should go for some more estimates, and I just kind of wanted to see what the board thought.
I think that's within our town policy that we send it out for estimates.
Okay, 1 second.
We'll wait for Tara to come back.
Nope, that's fine.
That way we don't have to repeat ourselves.
Mhm.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
But yes, it is within our town policy that we get 3 estimates.
You want a motion or can I just recommend that?
I don't think we need a motion in that. That is within the town policy, so I think we just reach out for, I mean, we put out an RFP
Yeah,
for this kind of, and
We could, but because it's under the threshold, it's.
Right, it's under the
Are there
threshold, so-
Estimates,
let's just do some estimates and see where we're standing.
okay.
Okay. Health officer and E911 coordinator laptop purchase.
So as you guys are aware, we are getting ready to hopefully, well, we did just hire Samantha. Getting ready to do the paperwork and stuff with her for the state because she's been on vacation this last week. So she'll be in tomorrow.
Get her in
And
here.
we are going to need a computer to set her up with. And I recently got a request from Priscilla, our E911 coordinator. She's having a lot of difficulty doing some of her tasks on her home computer. So I think it's completely reasonable to purchase 2 new computers. The ones that we had extra from our previous health officer, they've been given to other people. I gave, Leonard one for animal control stuff, and I gave one to, Eddie Pascucci, our constable, to use for his video camera things. Wouldn't transfer to his computer, so it just made more sense if they took those ones. So IT gave me, this is their best layout. So for both computers, it's $1,979.10, and it covers the warranty and the 3-year support. And we have that in the budget, in the equipment maintenance budget.
That was my only question.
very good.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, aye.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye. Choosing a possible name for a new lane off of Middle Powell Road.
So Priscilla came to me, there's a road that will now have 3 houses on it off of Middle Pownell, so it'll be considered a lane. the three names that she came up with that are not used in neighboring towns, and we don't have any other road names, or a lot of road names, I guess, that start with A. So she chose Ascot, Asbury, or Asher. So once you decide on a name, then I'll start the rest of the process, warning a public hearing and that stuff.
What's the board's pleasure? My personal, opinion was Asher Lane.
That's what I wrote down, Asher. I thought it just was simple and easy.
Yeah, the other ones were.
It sounds simple and easy to me. Are there standards around? I don't know what the standards are for naming.
Yeah, so Priscilla is aware about the standards and she kind of checked in. She's the one who called the neighboring or checked the neighboring towns and did all that process. But previously when the last road naming, I guess, process that they went through, Linda was here. And so I worked with Priscilla to figure out what the process is and all of that. So we should be good to go with a public hearing after you name it.
Is there any meaning behind those names other than they start with A?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Nope.
Maybe no.
No.
It's not like one of the three names of the people that live on
No,
the
I
lane.
don't believe so,
Okay.
no.
I just thought Asher
Any
sounded
other opinions on?
Oh, Asher's flows better, or flows good.
close better, yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, name it Asher Lane.
Do I have a second?
All right, I'll second. I was waiting for Jamie to do it. He looks at me like, what are you waiting for?
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, aye.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye. Community use of town office space discussion continued.
I brought this one back really quick because I had a lot of notes on things to look into, but not a whole lot of, direction other than that. And I wasn't sure what you all wanted to see changed or added on that policy.
Before we move forward, have we had another abatement to make sure that the air quality is okay in there?
I think that's this town office, not,
Oh, which town office you talking about? This one or that one? Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay, but it will apply to all of them. And yes, I would have that
Okay, I'm sorry.
retested before we use it.
I wasn't quite sure where we were at.
No, but it will apply across the board for all of our facilities.
Right, okay, sorry.
No big deal.
what's your pleasure on this?
Bob, did you have any concerns that you wanted specifically addressed before we bring it back?
And I'm sorry, what are we?
The facility use agreement, like, we talked about, would we have fees? Would we
Oh, yes.
have any limits and rules? There was all those concerns, but I wasn't really sure what.
Did we vet this through,
It's a
Bob
deal.
Fisher at all?
It's a VLCT model policy, but I'll send it, once you all decide on it, I'll send it to Bob before we start using it.
No, I don't. If we're using the VLCT, that means that it has been vetted by attorneys, because that's their attorneys
Right.
create the model policies.
Right.
So that's a good thing. My concerns before were more about making sure that it was, if it's going to be some sign up, there's no well, if anybody can sign up for them, what are we inviting? So that's so what we talked about was, does it have to be a 501c3? Does it have to be, can it be a church? Can it be, those kinds of things? But I would imagine that's addressed in the VLTC model policy. And I'm sorry, I haven't read that policy. So I'm not quite sure what's in it.
Okay. I will,
Can we,
look at it again and resend it to everyone
and can we put it on the agenda for,
next
the next meeting, now that we know what,
night. I think it's the 9th, November 9th.
sounds right?
Okay.
Please and thank you. Conservation Commission initial discussion.
So we've had a lot of interest in the Conservation Commission, which is not an active commission in town currently. However, I do feel like we have a strong interest at this point with the new land acquisition to start that commission again. And before I start advertising and pulling people together, I just wanted your blessing.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Let's see, what is the purpose of the Conservation Commission? And I'm sorry, this is, remember, we do have some restrictions on that property anyway, just because of how we got the grant. And I
Yes.
really don't want to fight
So
more.
one of the duties of the Conservation Commission would be to consider all those, like the agreements that we have with the Vermont Land Trust and those things, and to see how it works within the town. And they do a lot of things that I have the list, it's not right in front of me, unfortunately.
basically
Grab it.
they're gonna be working within those restrictions
Yeah.
to take in,
Planning, they
and the trails, develop some.
they study the assets that are within the forest, the natural minerals, geographic things, all that stuff.
My only concern is it might create more, it might create more restrictions, right? Because there are, well, I guess we need to be very careful, and we need to get a lot of town input on it. Who would be the members of the commission? Is that, is this like a planning commission where we start soliciting interest from individuals in town to be part of that commission?
And then you would appoint them to the commission, the select board would.
Right, and I don't think they, I'm pretty positive, Bob, they wouldn't have any, authoritative power to do anything. They could make recommendations and bring it back to the board, the same as the planning commission,
And
when they're doing the town plan type of stuff.
I would turn to them for help with the forest management plans and those
With the
things
trail.
outside of my purview, yeah.
And-
Trail management plan,
Trail
which
management.
Parks and Rec is interested in helping with that also, but the Conservation Commission would have more sort of expertise as far as conserving the land and the proper use of the land and that, so.
I would think that the Rec and the Conservation Commission would kind of work hand in hand on that whole entire project,
Right.
if it were my guess.
That would be the hope, yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. I think it would be very important for the board to make sure that we have ideological diversity on that commission. And by it, so it's not stacked with many people who think one way. I think some of you have heard me say it before. If we have absolute agreement on all our boards, committees, and commissions, we are leaving a large part of our constituency unrepresented, because we don't have, just the nature of every town in America, you don't have lockstep on anything. You really need to have voices from all sides on every one of our boards and commissions. If they're all coming out rubber stamping everything, then something's wrong, because somebody disagrees with just about everything, and they have to be heard too. That's my concern, is that it is ideologically diverse, that people from different perspectives are on that commission, just like they should be on the select board and just like they should be on the planning commission.
And it's a minimum of 3 members, maximum of 9. So I definitely have 3 interested parties, but that's why I sort of asked for your blessing so that I can start putting the word out and hopefully get more people interested in it.
So once we get up and running, we can reach out to the state, because they've got different programs that I know they're more than willing to take and work with it.
Right. It's sort of like an area that the planning commission doesn't touch, the DRB doesn't touch, Parks and Rec touches a little bit on it, but not really to the extent we're going to need now that we have such a vast.
Got that property and the property off from South Stream Road.
Yeah, we do, and we need to, utilize those assets and promote them.
Everybody forgot about that piece.
Yeah.
But,
Not everybody, but a lot of people have.
yep,
I mean, my only concern is, and I don't know how formal, this would probably be something we need to research out a little bit. So if we made it a 9-member commission, if they were gonna have a meeting and vote on anything, they'd have to have 5 members present. They'd have to have their quorum. So maybe we keep the number at, because we do have historically, we have a difficult time getting the numbers. So if we kept the numbers to 5 or 7 versus going into a 9.
What about 5 and 2 alternate possible?
Jamie, well, that works perfect, right? Because you got 7 people, so it gives an opportunity for 7 people to be involved, but you really only need 5 to have a meeting and to vote. I like that idea. That's one thing, the 9 concerns me, simply because of that. We've run into that in the past.
And that seemed to work on our other boards.
I think that's a great idea. I think, I totally agree with that. A 5 and 2 alternates would be great.
I think those are excellent points, because you do need to get that quorum. One is they're not going to have the kind of authority, so what they're voting on isn't binding. They're voting on what are they going to recommend to the board.
Correct.
Right. So that's the only thing they should be voting on, and then the board should actually make the ultimate decision, because we're the ones that represent and answer to our electorate. So what was I going to say about that? Well, we need to make sure about how can I add, what was the precipice or what started the interest in having a conservation commission? Where did that interest start from?
So the land trust, and then at the presentation that I offered at the library.
There was people that were interested.
When I talked about boards and commissions at the library, I was asked about the conservation.
So that would indicate that we're somewhat recruiting from a partisan group, which is why I had the concern about making sure we were ideologically diverse.
I was asked about a commission that's not active.
I think that conservation commission, Bob, has been in our book.
It's in the town
It's in
report.
our town report. It's been there historically for, I think, as long as I've been reading.
And I actually didn't
I
even.
get that. That's the
Conservation Commission on my handout. It wasn't one that I even brought up, but I was asked about it.
What's the board's pleasure on moving forward with the conservation commission?
I don't have a problem with it.
I'll entertain a motion to move forward with, trying to activate a conservation commission with a board of 5 people with 2 alternates.
But
I'll make a motion. Or so moved.
Any more discussion and questions? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, no.
Brian, I.
Jamie,
Mike, aye. So carried.
And just so it's clear, this commission is open to anybody to apply to.
That's right.
That's correct.
Correct. Well, I think it's town resident,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, there should be a.
Should be a resident.
Well, yeah, resident of town, but I mean, it's not like only the people Tara just spoke with.
Right, exactly. Okay. Social service appropriations, town warning and ballot placement policy.
Okay, so, over the years, well, last year, I know we talked a lot about the social service agencies that are on the ballot. And that is a large sum of money that, voters are approving every year. And last year, at town meeting, we had some question about what is required for people to get on the ballot. And at some point over the years, the board had adopted a policy that allowed a social service agency to just get back on the ballot if they were on the previous year. So they only had to collect their signatures one time. Essentially, it could have been 10, 15 years ago, they collected their signatures of 5% of the voters, and now they're automatically on the ballot. And the only way that changes is if they want to increase, they have to collect more signatures. I've reached out to the LCT and I've done some research on how can we require more? Can we decrease the asking amounts? We cannot decrease asking amounts. We cannot leave them off the ballot if they have done their part as far as collecting the signatures. So then my next question was, can we require that they collect signatures every year? We can do that, but you would have to do away with your old policy of allowing them to just roll into the next year if they collected signatures one time.
that was prior to all of us.
That is sort of the only thing we can do to change that. is to require social service agencies to put a little more work into it to collect those signatures and do that every year, if that's what you decided.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was a pilot. I thought that was just during COVID, honestly. So,
No, so that is an actual policy that has been
That's
used.
gotta be pretty dated.
yeah,
I was gonna say, that's gotta be
that's
really
what I'm
old.
saying. It has to be a
It's
lot.
pretty dated policy.
And it's a policy that VLCT says some towns, they adopt it and
Yep,
because it makes it easier, like for me and Julie, for example, because
you don't have to verify.
we don't have to verify signatures. So I told Julie, I'm really sorry if they change this, but I will help count signatures. Because she's the one, Julie is the one who has to check to make sure that they're all registered voters and.
And would have to
stuff.
be in the town. It wouldn't be county-wise, correct?
Right, they would have to be 5% of Pownell registered voters.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's that work out to?
Like 130, between 130 and 150.
For them to be put on the ballot.
Yeah.
So is the proposal to make it annual? Or,
I would think so.
yeah, so, and I guess we have a couple of options, right? Where it is today is, once you're on, you're always there unless you're making a change. And then if you make a change, then you have to go back. Do we have the option of making it, make it a little bit easier on the staff, but every 3 years or something, you have to come back?
I think if that's what you all chose to do, as long as it's clear in the policy, then yes.
I think we do need to make it a little bit harder to spend public money. It shouldn't just be automatic, but a lot of these things are things that happen and recur. So make it a little bit easier if it was time boxed.
So I would think if we changed the policy, that it wouldn't be in effect immediately, because that's kind of a short notice, that we could put it in effect for 2025. Because you're talking that they're gonna have to have the signatures.
Not really, because,
Sure.
no, because they would have to, like, so you can get your petitions.
Mid-January, end of January is the deadline, but I
Deadline.
promised Julie I would not say end of January.
Right, but they-
January.
We could change the policy. It takes a little bit of time to change the policy anyway, by the time we vet it out there. You know, or look at, you know, what our policy is, vet it.
It's basically,
It's pretty simple.
if you do away with the old one, you're back to annual, unless you.
Unless you put like a 3-year buffer or whatever.
Says 3 years. But I'm getting ready to now email all of the social service agencies and say, it's that time of year again, please send me your worksheet and your other
Yeah.
stuff. So when I do that, I could say, this year we're doing things differently, or we can do that next year.
So if we were to change this policy, just so that everyone's clear, including me, if we were to vote to do away with our current policy and put a new policy into effect, and we drafted a new policy for November 9th, right, and be voted on, you know, and I kind of like Bob's idea about a 3-year update every 3 years rather than the 1 year. You know, and I'm not totally opposed to a 1 year either, okay, because look, it is a lot of money.
Well, we could do 3 year.
And to be clear, to be clear, I'm not opposed to the 1 year either, but I was trying to strike that balance.
Right, no, I understand, right, for sure.
I just want to make sure we knew we had options, that's all.
Right. Could we put that policy into effect next? Maybe not the 9th, we'd have to bring it in and have discussion and then send it to Bob Fisher, but put that policy into effect on the,
End of November.
yeah, we wouldn't have a meeting on the 23rd because it would be Thanksgiving, whatever the next meeting after the 9th would be. We can do that, right? Because we don't have to go through the 60-day, that's an ordinance.
No,
No,
I just want to make sure we have the right things going.
Because you have Christmas.
You know, and make sure we all understand it, including me.
That's my only concern is
I
because
have
of
to
the
get it
holidays
all
and
out to
everything.
people anyways. I have to.
Well, but if we had it in place, if we had that new policy in place in November,
Yeah,
right? The end of November around Thanksgiving, that gives outside agencies, social service agencies, December, and it gives them a minimum of 6 weeks,
Yeah.
right? I mean, realistically, it would give them a minimum of 6 or 7 weeks to get their signature. So I don't want to cut them short. I understand what we're saying. I don't want to cut them short. You got 3 weeks to get your signatures or 2 weeks or whatever it is. So somebody's got to work really hard.
Right.
Okay? I don't want to do that.
Right.
And
But I do want to make a little more accountability for some of it. I think we're on the right track with that.
thinking about having a special meeting next week anyways, so that we can,
Are you
with a
kidding?
different department head, sorry.
No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
But, because I can't fit all our department heads in as fast as I'd like
That's-
to. So maybe I can bring the policy back next week and then
That would,
final approvals like the 9th and then,
you wanna put language in that way, then we can take a look at it.
I'd like to just hold off on doing anything with our current policy,
okay.
but I would like to see a new policy proposed for our next meeting, whether it's next week or November 9th.
Okay.
And, I'd like to see it. What's the board's pleasure? Do you want to see it with a 1 year, an annual, or do you want to see it with a 3 year or 2 year?
I think 2 is fair, but I think enacting it with such short notice for this year is a little unfair. I think starting it for next year and then requiring it every 2 years would be, to me, that's how I would go about it. That's just my,
So you wouldn't change the policy, you would,
not for this election cycle, but for the one after.
okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Only because by the time, we're gonna be like basically throwing this out to people, and by the time really notifications get to people, they're gonna have 4, maybe 5 weeks to get signatures in.
Yeah, I would think it would be done with 6 or 7 weeks realistically, but I see your point, totally.
That way they can't say that we like changed it unexpectedly and bombarded them and it's not fair and all that nonsense.
But we could also this year ask for more detail as far as budgeting their budgets and that stuff that, our voters asked for.
Right,
Right.
All right.
Perfect.
sounds good. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you very much.
Okay, looks like we're into executive for personnel.
I'll make a motion, we enter into executive session for personnel.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye.
So just so you know, when we're in executive, it's only the board.
Oh, of course.
Okay. That was the
First thing they run into.
Oh, shoot.
That pumpkin.
I knew that was coming. They told me that too.
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye. I'll entertain a motion to enter executive personnel for zoning administrator.
So moved.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Jamie, I.
Mike, aye.